Hi there, I'm Timothy Linsdau, video producer, Christian, living in the borderlands of America. I live only a couple of miles from the Tijuana, Mexico and San Diego border, if you will. It's an interesting place to be, and a lot going on. I've been trying to stick to other subjects, but the border wars seem to continue. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, now in the newspaper, the local newspaper, right away, there's two more articles today. You may have heard in the recent news today that the Border Patrol encountered the largest group of migrants, illegal immigrants, whatever you're going to use, crossing 1,036 migrants, the news says, crossed the border illegally in El Paso, Texas. Now, I have a little bit of understanding of this, maybe more than a little bit, because I live just a couple miles from the border. I have friends that are customs agents that will talk to me. One of the things that they talk about today, now in these large groups, one customs agent I know that surveys the entire border, he says, he says they gather up like on the Rio Grande River. We've had those here in San Diego too, when the recent migrant caravans, and they make a rush at the border, but they were haphazard rush. This type of thing that took place in El Paso is more of a planned, designed rush. Some of you may remember, and I spoke about how the cartels in Mexico are actually turning into travel agencies. They're involved in convincing the hurting, poor, starved folks, whatever it is going on down in Central America, I don't know. But they encourage them, if you get to the U.S., claim asylum, you're going to get a bunch of free stuff, and life is going to be wonderful. Well, we actually have borders in this country and laws that enforce that. So they actually started developing express buses, the cartel. They would charge the people a certain amount of money, and no small amount of money, by the way. Cartels are, much as you hate to say this, are good business people. They know how to make money. Charging the heck out of these people. Where they get their money, I don't know. And they pack them on these buses. They actually send them to particular spots along the border to group. Maybe they give them some minimum amount of support, and they tell them what to do and when to do it. Well, recently, this group of 1,036 migrants, you can see them, I just saw some video, you can see it on the internet, they're gathering on the Mexican side, and they come across in a big line through a break in the fence. There's not much of a fence there. And on they charge in, and it's craziness. By the way, I want to mention that like and comment on my video if you would, and subscribe to my channel. Sure appreciate that, so you can support my channel and keep this thing going. And you can see they'll gather up in a group. They don't run like what I used to see years and years ago, when you'd get illegal immigrants coming across. There'd be just a few of them. There'd be groups that would hide, but then they would spread out. And in that spreading process, it made it harder for the Border Patrol to catch them. But anyway, they'd spread out. They have contacts through family members or whatever, and spread out into the population and disappear, basically. So what these groups do, they go, very blatantly and open, come through the wall, fence, whatever it is, and they will gather in one spot, in surrender to the Border Patrol claiming asylum. Whatever they've been told, it is now overwhelming the border agencies with people. Now, I've spoken to one of my customs agents friends. I said, what do you do with all these people? He said, we find warehouses, find buildings wherever we can, and house them as best we can, and trying to follow the law that they've been charged with. And then the children issue get mixed up in here. And another conversation I had with a customs agent gives me an example. You think it's simple, that it's going to be a husband and wife and a couple of kids coming over the border, nice and together, and they present their papers. They may have no papers. They may have nothing. It may be an individual woman who walks in with a kid in hand, and oh, this is my son. And the agents are going, oh, how do we know that? Do you have any pictures? Do you have any papers? Do you have anything? You know what it could be? And they're finding a lot of this is trafficking. Trafficking. It's trafficking sex. I mean, it's incredible, but it's exploding all along the border. And first of all, shame on any American that gets involved in that, other than eliminating it. It's incredible. But the Border Patrol doesn't know who that woman is. They don't know who that kid, whether they belong together or not, and that's one of the big problems. So they're struggling to house these kids separately from adults, as if you went into prison here and for the violation, your kids wouldn't go to prison with you. Some of that's silliness but seeing journalists and politicians using this terribly difficult time for these people to their advantage, it's a real shame. But people who should really be taking care of this, our Congress, are in battles over other stupid political things that have nothing to do with anything, and they're not getting anything done. They're not helping these people. They're not helping the border agencies complete the very difficult tasks they have in trying to find places to put these people to take care of them. This last year, about 6 kids died from flu and other diseases. Unfortunately, many of the immigrants are coming over with diseases, probably from a lack of good health care. And you're jamming all these people together. What do you expect is going to happen? I read where about 45,000 unaccompanied children have come into the U.S. since October. And they've managed to refer about 40-some thousand to different agencies to house them. And that could be a long ways from the border. There's some places in Massachusetts and New York where they're resettling people for whatever time it's going to be. So I don't know where they're going to end up. Recently, San Diego has had plane loads of people coming in here, trying to find places to put them. I'm assuming they're sending them here because they've got large facility to put them in, and that's probably where what that's coming from. So on and on it goes. The arguments continue. Politicians and journalists will be going down and interviewing or taking pictures of dramatic scenes, and this whole thing is being created by the stupid politics of the day. When you have cartels down south making the most of people's tragedies, taking their money to tell them lies about how good things will be, and overwhelming everything here. As we've seen with the president, he's putting on tariffs to try to get Mexico to help slow that river down, and on the mess goes and goes and goes. What was one other thing I saw in here? Asylum seekers are locked away in the deep south. You're doomed. They'll put you in a hole and they never see you again. I see how they do this stuff. I mean, it's important that things are reporter and above board, but of course this is implying that you're going to be stuck in a dungeon in nowhere south, who knows what, and lost forever. But on and on it goes. But as you can see what's going on, there is a tragedy going on here on the border. People are being encouraged to come here as though it's no problem, a piece of cake. And yes, do we need immigrants in this country? Yeah, our birth rate is low. Our economy is very strong. And we need people. And but you need time to see who are these people coming in. Are they cartel people? Are they people we wouldn't want to have living next door to you? Or would you want people who are working hard and trying to make a new life and make the best, like millions of other immigrants that have come here? It's a sad state of affairs and a very difficult time, and it's a feeling of being invaded. And I hope people recognize that and encourage their politicians to shed off their silly little arguments and get to work on these things. So, whew, crazy, crazy world down here. Well, I tell you what, though. Thanks a lot for listening. Again, like and comment on my video, subscribe to my channel, and no matter what's going on, just, go out there and make it a great day.